before I get on out of here, I had to talk about a story that's very, very important. And albeit indirectly, it involves Caitlin Clark, the Department of Justice, and quite possibly the President of the United States himself.
A stress ball can be necessary for the commissioner, because when the federal government begins to ask inquiries, you can tell it's serious when you sniff around the WNBA. In her second year, Caitlin Clark is being thrown around like if it's Washington is now observing WWE. Before we get started, a quick question: should the federal government intervene, or is there no way to save this league? Okay, so the federal government is now formally keeping an eye on the WNBA. All because Caitlin Clark constantly getting dropped as if she owed people money, and no one saw it as an issue. Additionally, the league is likely holding meetings that sound like, let's wait it out, as it skirts the issue. It's obvious that this won't go away. Look, I understand now government inquiries are disliked by all. No one is cheering Uncle Sam on as he enters a basketball game with a clipboard. However, when players are tossing elbows, blind referees, and silent league executives, you leave people with no other option. Let's begin with Kathy Engelbert, commissioner of the WNBA. Now, the person who was paid to run the league is attempting to run it into silence. During finals week, she has been quieter than a library. Perhaps things wouldn't have gotten out of control if she had replied sooner. However, Caitlin Clark is repeatedly struck, you name it, on the court, off the ball, during dead balls, etc., and the penalty for those inexpensive shots, nothing. No ejections, just vibes, no penalties or bans.
But one thing I will not do is take credit for this. I am looking at the Wall Street Journal. The author of the article is a guy by the name of Sean McLean. Let me read to y'all the opening couple of graphs, because I want you to hear the impact of this. This is serious. This is serious. And I could say it with my team here, having the footage and the receipts to back me up. I could be in that I told you so mode. I really, really could. But I ain't going to do that because I'm in a good mood. I'm going to be chill. But I could be saying I told you so. Because let me read this to you.
The three major hits that gave rise to this federal mess: Carter's now famous blindside hit without the ball even being in play, Diamond DeShields is acting like an NFL linebacker, Marina Mabra making a casual commitment, what appeared to be more of an attack than a defense, and presto, a Tina Charles sneak punch to the rear. We're watching a game of basketball. Or the Street Fighter. Here's the really good part: these weren't any basketball plays, not one. Hard defense is not what we are discussing. We're discussing deliberate, off-ball, full-body shoves as if we were trying out for a stunt double part. Even so, the WNBA continued to act as if nothing had changed while sitting with its arms crossed. Given Caitlin's influence, you would think, on income, they would at least pretend to be concerned. However, after doing the numbers, they have determined that letting her get smacked is more cost-effective. Let's be honest. Caitlin's attention is what the WNBA wants, but they don't want the accountability. She sells out arenas, increases app downloads, sells jerseys, and raises ratings in exchange for a shoulder to the ribs. And a league where everyone is turning a blind eye, silence eventually contributes to the issue. And it has now, because at last, Senator Jim Banks of Indiana declared, okay, that's enough. He wrote to the league, demanding responses, and yep, it's a real federal letter inquiring as to why the WNBA continues to overlook foul shove after shove, following foul. He is requesting basic protection, not special treatment. It's similar to what every other professional league star typically receives. Additionally, when the Wall Street Journal wrote about Caitlin's civil rights being violated, it was a warning shot rather than merely an opinion. When one of the nation's largest financial institutions says, hey, this might be illegal, you had better pay attention. Next is Stephen A. Smith, and express your desires regarding him. People pay attention when he speaks. The WNBA may be looking, he said, at a federal inquiry. He claimed that Trump might even take advantage of it to mobilize political support. He's correct, too, because, let's be honest, Trump's remarks regarding Caitlin Clark's protection would violate the internet. America would be enraged in half, the other half would be furious. The WNBA would be on the main page in any case. News for all the wrong reasons, and perhaps that's what it takes, as the league isn't reacting to journalists, athletes, or supporters. When Washington knocks on their door, perhaps they will finally say something.
Joined the league last year, Ms. Clark's impact has been seismic. Merchandise sales soared 601%. Indiana Fever viewership jumped 170%. The team's value tripled. League Pass subscriptions climbed 366%. App engagement rose 613%. And her endorsements topped $11 million.
Now, some people are wondering why this is important. It's not just about Caitlyn. It concerns a league that wants to develop, wants to be respected, and wants to be taken seriously, but doesn't take things seriously. It is not possible to have it both ways. A player cannot be promoted, games cannot be moved to larger venues for her, ticket costs cannot be increased, and she cannot be featured in every commercial. And then pretend to be surprised when others anticipate that you will defend her. Toc Caitlyn, fans are taking flights across the nation. Children are wearing her jersey, families are watching with money they don't truly have. Her performance, she may not even be able to complete the game after being hit so hard.
Instead of protecting its transformative star, the league's leadership ignores the relentless targeting of Ms. Clark, treating its greatest asset as if she were a PR headache. That approach could turn into a legal liability for the WNBA.
If LeBron was body checked into the scorer's table in the second quarter after I paid $400 to watch him, I would also be furious. The sports betting angle is another. These games are currently attracting millions of bets. It's not merely poor officiating if the referees aren't calling clear fouls against the best player in the league. Thing begins to appear strange. Additionally, suspicion turns into an investigation when money is involved. Let's now discuss team strategy. Several players, yes, real players, have stated that the teams have had conversations in the locker room over how to handle Caitlyn. That's a courteous method of expressing that they've arranged their level of physical contact in advance.
Sophie Cunningham told the Wall Street Journal she's Caitlyn Clark's teammate, the Indiana Fever. The star player of the league is not being protected. Rebecca Lobo, analyst, ESPN. What does she say? Every single one of those plays against Caitlyn Clark has been a foul. Dick Vitale, winning 1.29 million All-Star votes, came in for Caitlyn Clark, yet she was ranked 9th among guards on a player ballot. Quote, absolutely pure jealousy that the WNBA players voted Caitlyn Clark the 9th best guard. Someday they will realize what she has done for all of the players in the WNBA. Chartered planes, increase in salaries, sold out crowds, improved TV ratings, etc. And they ain't lying.
This isn't speculation. Now Caitlyn's teammate, Sophie Cunningham, actually stated when she played. They talked about how hard they would be on Caitlyn while they were in Phoenix. However, now that she has a different perspective, it's too much. Even she says, when a teammate believes you are being mistreated, that should speak volumes. And there's the sexual and racial aspect that no one wants to discuss here. Let's avoid being foolish. Caitlyn's white. She is very marketable in ways that some players in the league might not be, and she is straight. Additionally, some folks simply dislike that. Candace Wiggins, a former player, claimed that since she was gay, she was harassed out of the league. And now Caitlyn is being teased for being successful, white, and heterosexual. It goes beyond toxic culture. That begins to resemble, you guessed it, civil rights issues. Additionally, the Department of Justice may be in a circle. When you combine sports, money, and prejudice, this is federal interest, not conspiracy theory. And the leadership's silence. You're requesting federalize. Commissioner Kathy is still doing her hardest to look like a mime. She worked at one job, expand the league while safeguarding the stars. That's all. She succeeded in allowing the largest celebrity to be treated like a pinball while witnessing the league become into a political football. That's the appearance of panic. That's how my lack of authority over my own league appears. Additionally, if they don't exercise caution, Caitlyn could wind up with the league on the court as opposed to taking the lead in points due to the increasing number of lawsuits and complaints. And the video is truthful. Every hit, non-call, and missed foul is captured on camera, and they're not just poor optics. They are now considered legal evidence. This league has every opportunity to make things right. Kennedy may have been suspended. Carter, Diamond might have been fined to Shields. The referees may have been instructed to call the game fairly. Rather, they allowed it to grow. They made an effort to wait it out. Congress is now writing letters, and the media is resisting. And supporters are abandoning them. The league desired publicity, they received it, but it wasn't what they had hoped for. This is where the biscuit truly comes to life. People are seeming perplexed as to why this is currently blowing up. They say things like, Caitlin Clark is simply being hazed. Alternatively, this is a common occurrence for all new stars. That's the line we're using now. I see, are you hazing, like on a college campus during freshman week? However, this is the problem. She is not a novice, she is a second-year student. She is a contender for MVP.in assists, she led the league. The previous season, this isn't a rookie attempting to get stripes. She's already done that, she is currently getting bruises. Rather. Let's take this seriously, game after game. No other player in the league receives this kind of abuse. During dead balls, Sabrina Ionescu is never caught off guard, Brianna Stewart is not visible to you. Receiving blows without whistling from behind, and if it did occur, your expensive arena nachos there would have been. A fine and a press announcement within 24 hours, however, with Caitlin, they seem to be challenging us to take notice. What about the justifications? They're getting inventive. Man, she speaks excessively negatively. Yes, each and every player in the league does. Either masculine or female, talking trash is an element of the game. However, when did full-body collisions get the all-clear? She is arrogant, alright, and confidence wasn't a foul, as far as I could see. If we punished people for having confidence on the bench, half of the WNBA would be observing. She's not accustomed to playing physically. My fave is the one. Because it seems that being triple-teamed every night and leading the NC in scoring does not qualify as physical play. No longer newsflash. It took time for Caitlin Clark to soften. She recently joined a league where physicality has evolved into. We'll see what we can get away with, not to be overlooked or some who claim that it's simply a part of the culture. Yes, I see, perhaps the culture needs to change. The hits aren't the only problem facing the league. It's the quiet. The gaslighting, the feigning, the notion that you are somehow against the game if you bring up the obvious. Or worst, you don't show the league any respect. No, holding the league to a standard would be a sign of respect. It would entail providing equal protection for all of its players. It would include naming things what they are, blatant infractions. Not a bad basketball play. Now, let's discuss the other players, as this isn't just about the front desk or the refs. Some of these women are just plain having fun. They handle striking Caitlin like the newest WNBA team-building exercise. It's a group activity. Today, who can defeat Clark? They tweet mysterious things, they enjoy posts that are dubious, they pretend that because she is well-liked, she deserves it. That isn't competitive. That's resentment. Sadly, it's making the league seem absurd, rather of discussing the actual. We're all spending more time discussing if the next basketball game will end in a stretcher or a declaration. Even Caitlin's admirers are beginning to take notice. They're stating, "We adore this sport, but why are there so many body slams, and nobody benefits from that?" This league experienced a once-in-a-generation chance. A player who might attract millions of new viewers. A player who made casual admirers purchase season tickets. A player who, for the first time, made non-WNBA fans talk about the league. Never. What actions did they take? They gave a shrug. They advised us to trust the procedure and allowed her to serve as a crash test dummy. Excellent strategy. Incredibly progressive. The federal government is now involved. Trump may now become involved. Stephen A. Smith is now reading on national television civil rights legislation, as if he were about to sit for the bar exam, and if the league had simply completed the bare minimal, raise the alarm and impose a fine, say, "This is not permitted here. It's not complicated, that's all." However, they didn't. They are currently under fire from supporters, the media, legislators, and most likely attorneys. Most likely, the commissioner is seated watching ESPN clips on mute at her workplace. She hopes it all goes away. It won't. Spoiler alert, since this isn't